Guys, I gotta apologize. I made a lot of Tesla fanboys really upset. I didn't know it would be that easy, so I just want to go ahead and take time and say I'm sorry. And today we're gonna review something that's just a little bit less controversial. We're just gonna go ahead and show you this Leaf. Today we're gonna drive this thing as far as we can, and we're gonna see how it is to live with. This is 10 years old. This was made in 2012. The Nissan Leaf was just kind of the first step for Nissan into electrification. And so in the economy electric segment, there was this, you had the Volt. I think Ford had the electric Focus, which they didn't sell too many of those. If you wanted a cheap electric car, this was pretty much it. So today we're gonna drive this thing and we're gonna see if you should buy one. Let's find out. So taking a look at the overall shape of this thing to start off with, it looks a lot like the Versa, but it's not the Versa, and they really want you to know that. See, in 2012, whenever they first came out with this, this was a completely bespoke chassis, a completely different car than like the Versa or the Sentra or anything like that, but it's kind of the same size. It looks pretty small. It's more of like a compact car. It's not very flashy either. In 2012, this car started just over $35,000. This is the SV. And the other version is the SL. The SL had a couple more options. It had a backup camera, it had fog lights, and just some other stuff. So in today's money, that puts this car right around $43,000, which seems kind of expensive for something that's so basic. Let's take a look real quick at the styling. I don't know why, but for some reason, automakers feel the need to make electric car accents blue, and Nissan did the same thing, and this is a blue Nissan emblem, and these are all over the car. So you have this one, you have the one on the side of the car that says zero emission. You have another one on the back that says zero emission. You have the blue emblem on the liftgate. You even have a little bit of blue on the antenna. I'm not really sure what the thinking behind that was, but it reminds me of something. As far as quality and paint quality specifically, it is Nissan, and Nissan, in my opinion, has always had kind of lackluster paint quality. You know, this is a 10-year-old car. Obviously, you can expect things to go bad, but this one, the paint has started kind of coming off a little bit. The interior does not look bad, and it doesn't look good. It's just different. I wouldn't say that it looks great. It's pretty dang basic. It has a weird kind of material. This is obviously some sort of cloth with a different looking pattern on it. It has this little checkered pattern right here. You have this touch screen right here. If I open this up, you can see that it tilts just like that, and you have your CD player, and you have your map SD card right there. So I guess you can still change that out, but yeah, it's kind of a cool feature for 2012. Little tutorial on the shifter. If you put it over and up, that's reverse. And then on the outside, if you listen, it kind of lets people behind you know that you're backing up. It's kind of weird. And now we're gonna put it back in, and then if you pull it over like this, it puts it in drive. And if I push the button, that's park. So a lot of other cars are using shifters somewhat like this nowadays. So let's go ahead and see what we've got here. We have a map. If we go to the main menu, let's go back to that. This is very 2012. I mean, obviously stuff has changed quite a bit. Unfortunately, not for Nissan though. Overall, this car is a lot like a regular car. It's like a regular Nissan. You're not like getting really nice stuff. For that price point, it's more about the technology for the time. Let's go ahead and see what kind of storage space we got in the back. If we open this up, you see that there's a pretty big trunk back here. I mean, you have lots of space down here, and then that has this big divider. So the seats do fold down. If I push this up, then the seats fold down. And then you can fold those down flat, but either way, you still have to get over this big divider. And then this is the bag that the charger comes in. So another thing to note, if we go ahead and pop the thing right here, come up to the front, lift this up, undo that. If I plug this in, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but you can see right there that it has the lights. It has these little charging lights to let you know that it's at least trying to charge. Now, again, this isn't going to charge up all the way because this is a 10-year-old battery and it's pretty tired, but it's trying. It's doing its best.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
So this thing's been charging for about 24 hours. Let's go ahead and see. It's worth saying this is the original battery in this car. So we're going to take out the charger, plug that up, close it up. Very nice. Push this. There it is. Awesome. And we have a range of We have a range of 16 miles. Dude, how? It's been charging for like 24 hours. It's amazing how far we've come with technology. Okay, so honestly, whenever this car first came out, it had a range of, I think, 70 miles. It had two different battery options. I think it had a range of 70 miles and then 100 miles. I'm gonna try and go to the store, and I'm gonna get a candy bar, and then I'm gonna come back. I don't have very much faith, but we'll try it out anyways. All right, let's go get a candy bar. I need my Kit Kat. Oh yeah, look at that. Tire spin. This thing has a good amount of torque. It doesn't have a lot of power. It only has 107 horsepower, so it's not fast. But the power delivery is pretty linear, and I have to be careful because I just used 2 miles of range in like 150 yards. It's a smooth drive. It's not incredibly spirited, I would say. It's not uncomfortable though. I like the gauge cluster on this because I can see right here, whenever I put my foot on the throttle, it has that thing. It's like the throttle position. It's how much power you're giving the car. That's kind of cool. There's not a lot of features in here. I have a heated steering wheel. I have heated seats. It's not terrible to drive, but it's just not a very far drive. So I have 13 miles of range left. Today I called Nissan, my local Nissan dealership, and I asked them, how much is it to replace a battery in a 2012 Nissan Leaf? And they said, for the part, for the battery itself, it's gonna be right around $7,000. I think it was like $7,500. But for labor, it's gonna cost about another $1,000. After everything, they said out the door, you're gonna be $8,700 to replace the battery in this. The car itself cost $9 grand. Bruh. It's not worth more than that, but when you think about it, you're pretty much totaling out the car based on the repair costs. It's kind of hard to justify. Now, if you want to live with the battery the way that it is, if you don't need 70 miles of range, which still is not very much, but if you can live with under 20 miles of range, then I guess it makes sense. I mean, who's gonna drive this thing? It's good for kids if you don't want them to go very far. Maybe they're just learning to drive or something like that. That's kind of a big problem. If you get this car and it doesn't have a new battery in it, all in, you're gonna be right around $20,000 for a car that only has 70 to 100 miles of range. It's kind of ridiculous to think about. They didn't age very well, basically, is what I'm saying. It's amazing to see how far we've come in the past 10 years. It's also exciting to think about, you know, where are we gonna be in the next 10 years? Are these cars gonna be a lot better? Are we still gonna have gas cars at all? I mean, is this gonna be it? So, now we're at the store. Let's all go in and get a candy bar.
2 very boring minutes later.
Only got the essentials: Kit Kat, Celsius. I have the key in my pocket. Maybe if I hold it. Nope, nope, nope. There we go. Do you have to press it with the key? I hate that stupid beeping thing. It's so weird. Nobody else's beeps, except for the Amazon guy. We need to try a 0 to 60 in this. We need to see how fast it is. 107 horsepower. How fast does it go? All right, we're gonna come out here. There's nobody behind us. We're gonna go ahead and stop right here. And then 3, 2, 1. I got lots of tire spin. And still hasn't happened yet. There's 60. That felt like it was around 10 seconds. The poor traction off the line definitely did not help anything, but it didn't bring our range down too much. It still says we have 10 miles. That's not bad. Granted, we've only gone 1 mile and we had like 16 miles of range before. If you're in a small city and you don't have to go very far, if there's a charging port at work, then I see where that starts to make a little bit more sense. But if you have to go any kind of distance, if you have to go past 10 miles, that's when it starts to become a little bit iffy. I don't know if you're gonna make it. Like I said, this isn't an uncomfortable car. This is a lot more comfortable than like a Versa or a Sentra or a comparably sized Nissan from the time. This is a little bit better drive, and I can start to see why they were charging a little bit more money for it. But still, it makes you wonder what's gonna happen in the next couple of years with electric cars and their batteries. Will we start to see electric cars totaled out by their batteries? I read something earlier that said Tesla's batteries can last like 200 miles and they'll still have 90% of charge capacity left. That's a pretty good number. I mean, that seems like we're definitely going in the right direction. It's a lot better than what we've got here.
because effectively 75% of our charging range in this one is gone after 10 years. And obviously we know it's very expensive to replace the batteries. Overall, this car is not a bad car. It's not. It doesn't have a ton of maintenance, but it all kind of catches up to you at the end. Now, would I buy this car? No, I would not. Honestly, I don't mind driving this. It's not fast. It seems like everything's pretty much held up pretty well. And there goes a Chevy Volt. That chap in his Chevy Volt, I wonder how he's doing in that. Probably has a little bit more range than me. I could not in good conscience recommend anybody buy one of these cars. Unless you're a very specific type of person and you decide that you don't need to drive very far and you just need a car for very rare occasions to not go anywhere past 10 or 11 miles. That's the only time that this makes sense. If you do less than 20 miles round trip every day, then it starts to make a little bit more sense. And under $10,000, you're probably not gonna have a lot to worry about, but how much longer is that battery actually gonna last? That's a big question. At some point, you are gonna have to replace the battery because at some point, it's probably not gonna hold a charge at all. I don't know what that threshold is. I don't know when that's gonna become a problem, but at some point, it sounds like it's gonna be a problem. Let me know what you think about this video. Comment if you want to. Let me know how stupid it is. Let me know how stupid I am. You guys are very good at that. Tesla fanboys, shout out. Make sure to leave a like and maybe subscribe. We'll see you next time.